Welcome, Coach Mash. How you doing today?
Hey Tad, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Glad to see you here. Glad to be alive, and glad that your dog is doing okay.
Yeah, we had a rough night. Sick dog that was up and down most of the night.
Always hard when they're getting older and they start to get sick. So our thoughts and prayers are with your dog. So and also with you, and hopefully that you get a lot of rest and and don't stumble through this interview today. All right, we need you healthy. We need you alert because you bring a lot. So, hey, tell me about what's going on over at Parkview. Give me some updates here on Clack.
Man, we're moving forward. Really excited. Tonight actually is our first, I think, community event where we're opening up the field to all the kids in the community come out. We're going to run them through a 2-hour football camp through football skills and drills and competition and that sort of thing. And, this is really our first opportunity, and I guess probably a month over there now, to engage the community directly, to engage those kids directly.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the future. Those are the future champion Parkview Panthers. So we're really excited to get out there and mix it up with them. And as Coach always says, really pour into those kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've heard him talk about it before, and it is about the kids for him, right? He's even said, win the Parks, win a ring, and he's dialing in at that middle school youth level to build the future of that program.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was over there this week. We're still doing the weekly culture talk series with the team, and you're starting to see it really solidify with those with the young men in the room. They're getting locked in. I saw one kid. He had an entire notebook filled up. I mean, he is really buying into this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a great way to start that foundation before you even get on the field. So we're in the weight room building our bodies. We're in the pro room building our minds.
Mm-hmm.
So when we step on that football field, we're ready to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a great transition to talk about our guest that we have on today. Really excited about him because it's all about youth training. He focuses on youth training. So our guest is Dustyn Moore with MooreSports Performance, and we just finished having the interview. And what were your thoughts kind of on what we discussed today?
I tell you what really came through to me is Dustyn is he has a true passion for what he does. He talked about it early on in the interview, that coaching and training, working with those kids, he saw that as a calling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important, right? You can't be just sort of I'm going to go and train some kids
Mm-hmm.
to have the impact that you want to have. And he does. He treats it like a calling, and it really comes out. You'll hear in that interview.
And it's really interesting because he mentions, you're going to hear this, but of all the kids and age groups that he focuses on or that he trains, he really loves the K through 5th grades.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I kind of thought that those trainers who were really working their business and working with the high school programs, that they would probably prefer to work with those older age groups,
Mm-hmm.
maybe more higher profile athletes, that kind of thing. But Dustyn was really interested in the K through 5, and it really comes through that he understands the importance of that age group, because that's when the fundamentals happen. And if you take care of it then, it's a lot smoother as you start to advance the teaching. So I was really surprised about that, and it was great to hear.
We talked a lot, and for the coaches that are listening, I think you guys are going to get a lot out about what to focus on at the different age groups. He really kind of broke it down between the K through 5th graders, the middle schoolers, and the high schoolers, and what he's focusing on each age group.
Yeah, all right. So just that kind of progression.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about fundamentals, that K through 5. More that middle school, that's where he likes to start adding some resistance, whether it be weights or bands. And then at the high school level, it's really about putting the pedal down and really building strength,
Mm-hmm.
Building speed, but also learn how to take care of their bodies. And he did emphasize that. It's really important at that age. They have to understand how to take care of themselves, and to understand how to be flexible and mobile, and all that is going to make them better football players, not just the strength.
And he emphasized over and over again, fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. You can never leave the fundamentals. And part of why he likes working with that younger group, because he wants to build the right fundamentals from an early age. So as they get into middle school, as they get into high school, they have a good foundation to build off of.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, I think it's a good litmus test for any kind of trainer or coach, is what's the most important. And if the answer is something around fundamentals, I think you're on the right track.
We also talked about the risk of burnout and dropout and how we manage that. And my big takeaway on that is for coaches, for parents, is really got to listen and watch the kids, and see how they're reacting to their schedule, the training. Most of these kids are multi-sport athletes, so they have a lot going on in addition to the pressures of academics and societal changes that are happening from middle school and high school.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really interesting, and trainers like Dustyn, they have a different perspective on it because the kids that come to them are playing organized sports somewhere else, and so their coaches may not see that they're overtraining, right? Because they just see them during that 2-hour period. But then they come to Dustyn, and he may see something different. He may be able to see it from a different perspective. So I really like that part of the discussion.
Mm-hmm. And the last thing we really kind of talked about was really on the mindset of he's trained kids at all different age levels, all different athletic ability level, kids that achieve the height of their potential, and some of those that go on to the highest level of college sports. And we talked about the difference in the mental mindset of those that really kind of make it and those that fall just short of that. One of the things that he said that is a quote that really stuck with me is the kids that make it, they practice like they are number 2. They don't practice like they're number 1. They practice like they're number 2 on the roster.
Yeah, always train as if you're number 2. Always train as if you're being chased. That's that's a good, just sort of a good outlook in general. I think whether you're talking about athletics or just in life in general, train like you're on the run.
Mm-hmm. So I think we teed it up enough. It's a really, really good conversation. Hope you guys enjoy our conversation here with Dustyn Moore at MooreSports Performance. You're in the field house with the Adam Clapp Academy.
About the ball. Tonight, we find a way.
And they knock
A-plus content.
Wood County
Authentic stories.
to be the 7A
Actionable
champions in
takeaways.
Georgia in
We're going
2018.
to attack them like they've never been attacked.
This is the Field House Podcast. Coaches, welcome back to another episode of the Field House Podcast. I'm Coach Tad. To my left, Coach Matt. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm good, Tad. Glad to be back and ready for a good discussion today.
Yeah, me too. The weather is great outside. It's early, late February, get into early March, but it feels like we're starting to hit the summer. And when I think of summer, I think of off-season training, and that's really what we're going to talk about today. We've got a great guest with us today, Coach Dustyn Moore. Dustyn is one of the elite trainers in the Alpharetta area. If you haven't had a chance to visit his facility, MooreSports Performance, we're in the facility right now. It's a beautiful facility. He's invested a lot of time, money, and energy into making this one of the top-notch places for athletes to train. So we are excited to have him on the podcast and talk about off-season training. So Dustyn, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. God woke me up this morning, so I'm good.
It's a great facility. By the
thank
way,
you. I appreciate it.
we
I
walked in
appreciate
here. I don't think I was expecting this. It literally made me want to work out right now.
Hey, we're always open. I'm always here.
Well, we got the weights right behind us, so if you want to go ahead and
Yeah.
start lifting, you can do that.
Absolutely.
Tell us real quick about the facility. When did you get started? When did this open up?
So we started in 2022. Got the keys September 1st, 2022. So we started in training outside for almost 9 months. 9 months of outside. I don't recommend it. I mean, the heat, the cold, it was torture, especially with me. I was out there for 9-10 hours a day, and it takes a toll on you.
Oh, I
when you're
bet.
outside.
I bet.
And you're just finding space wherever you can.
Wherever I could. Honestly, it was at 3 different parks when I first started. And then opportunity kind of came about. And I had a set location for the rest. So from November to about January, I was hopping around 3 different fields. And I get to the field, well, you can't use the field today just because of weather or they have events going on. I'm like, okay, I got to find something. Then I was actually very fortunate to have a place down in Canton, in Badger Creek, a soccer complex.
Yeah,
We said, hey, we just put a turf field in. Nobody's using it. If you want to do it, we can barter off some work. I was like, oh, this is perfect. So it worked out for me. So I kind of had a set location. And then months of searching and finding, I had one of my parents who believed in me, invested into me to help me get this place growing, help me. I can't thank him enough. Jason has been fantastic and helped me getting my business off the ground and continue to grow and pour into me with business advice and different things like that.
We talk about that a lot. We talk about it with Coach Clack, and it can extend beyond just like a football program. It's a business like you're trying to do here, like you're working on here. your community, your people,
And you
right,
build
are going to help you.
relationships.
It's very difficult
Yeah.
to do those things alone. That's one thing Coach Clack talks about. Day one, his job as a leader is building other leadership teams within his program. So, you've got your team of advisors, your money people, that sort of thing. So, that's not just a high school football program thing. You're out
Absolutely.
here doing it with your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on. Like I said, leadership. I'm always aspiring to find good leaders. I mean, that's in one business. It was for sure when I was growing up in high school with my coaches that I had in high school, who, like I said, believed in me. I was like, hey, this is how to go about it. This is how you do it. So leadership is huge.
So let's talk. So I want to hear. Let's hear about your history. All right. So what obviously you're very athletic. Obviously focused in training. When did you get involved in sports? What did you play growing up? Tell us about that.
Well, believe it or not, very late in my career. I didn't get started with sports until high school.
Oh wow.
So super late. I'm adopted. So when I was growing up, me and my brothers, we didn't do any sports. Okay, when my mom passed and we kind of got all split up, and then I was fortunate enough to move with my aunt for a little bit, then got adopted by Derek and Stephanie. Now I call them my mom, so they're not my adopted parents. They are my parents. So he got, because very fortunate. So he played 7 years in the NFL. So he got me into training. First couple times, I'm like, this ain't it for me. I was used to being out in the backyard a little bit, playing around as a kid, but
No rules, no regs.
no nothing. He was like, no, we're gonna play football. Got me in training super early. Didn't want to do it. Tried out for the team, didn't make it. So I was like, okay, I need to start training. Dad trained me all throughout high school, 8th grade, middle school, high school, and that was rough. Because, I was going up to this high school, working out in the morning time there, come home, all right, we're back in the gym, Goat's Gym at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., working for 2 hours. I'm like, man, this is awful. At the early on in my career, I'm like, this is awful. I mean, almost to the point where I was like, I want to kind of just not do this no more. Yeah. But I understand the benefit of it as I got older, and I started to see the results. Going into high school at 118, 20 pounds, leaving at 240. Okay, and that's all from the hard work that my dad and we all put together and making those trips to the gym. So that's how I got started. Played 4 years in high school. I was on the freshman team. My freshman year, started both ways in the ball. Sophomore year was a swing player, was a splits player. Got 4 quarters on JV, 2 quarters on JV, 4 quarters on varsity, and then I took the role over at the Mike linebacker position my junior and senior year.
Wow, in what high school?
Heritage High School down in Conyers, Georgia.
Yeah. That's
about an hour and 30 minutes from there.
really interesting, because I know great perspective you have on what you're doing today with kids. You might have been in the same position at some point, back in your middle school days when you're kind of questioning, why am I doing this? Do I really want to do this? I'm sure you have kids that come to see you that are asking themselves the same thing. You haven't had that experience yourself. You might be able to recognize that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I sit all the time. I mean, I can sit here. I hear the stories from all my clients. They come in, hey, we're going to experiencing this, we're experiencing that. And the good thing is with me, I feel like most of the time I can relate in some form or fashion of what you're going through. What your experiences, I've already experienced it already. So now I can say, hey, this is how you manage it and how you get through it.
Yeah.
So you went on from high school, you played in college also?
Yes, I was very fortunate. Got my first offer, my second offer actually from Kent State in Ohio. So believe it or not, Coach Freeman, the head coach of the Notre Dame Irish now, he actually recruited me.
That's where Coach Saban went.
Yes, Coach Saban went in. A lot of great coaches went there actually.
Yeah.
He recruited me, and then he left. Upset. I was like, man, I was really hoping to play for Coach Freeman, but I decided to keep my commitment with Kent State. I mean, they were coming off I think a 12 and a 13-year record. I mean, ranked top 13 in the country. I was like, I'm going into a winning program right now. When you get there, that changes. I'm like, okay, I'm used to winning, and kind of stepping into that program. I was kind of honestly homesick, so I decided to transfer. At the time, we didn't have the transfer portal, so if you wanted to play right away, you had to step down a level to play the next season. So I decided to drop down a level. Well, I wouldn't say necessarily drop down a level because it's still great competitive football when I transferred. Ball is ball. Yeah. I mean, so I transferred to Kennesaw. I was part of the inauguration season there.
Alma mater.
Go Owls. Love that coach. I was coached by Coach Bohannon. I was there for the first 2 years there, and then I transitioned. And so as soon as I left playing football, I transitioned right into training then.
They did Coach Bohannon a little dirty.
They did. Don't get me started.
I was going to say, are we going to talk about
get
that?
me started. Okay.
Yeah.
They did a little dirty.
Yeah, I've known Coach Bohannon since I was 13 years old when he was on the staff at Georgia Tech, because he was friends with my dad when he was at Tech as well. So I've known him for a very long time. And great person, great man, man of God. So, I mean, somebody that I looked up to, still look up to this day.
Yeah, he's back with Georgia Tech, right?
He's I want to say, I completely forgot. I lost it some tip of my tongue.
Somebody's gonna snatch him.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be there for a short time. He's gonna be back in the head coach job here soon. I'll guarantee you.
Didn't mean to get us off.
No, that's right. No, I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't sure if that was one that we should talk about public now, but no, I love hearing that. But what I wanted, so you said from football you went to coaching. How did you know you had the calling to be a coach?
I don't necessarily. I want to say I had that calling when I kind of more so got into college. Actually, I've always loved working with kids. I had that passion ever since I was in high school, working with the special need athletes, helping them play sports, different things like that. And then I get to college, of course, every time the opportunity arose, so work with the athletes at camps or go to the school to read or anything like that. I've always had the passion for it. And then I would say when I kind of wanted to make that transition, because in college, I was in kind of a major and a minor. I was like majoring in, at the time, sports management. Then I made that transition to English studies because I totally sure what I wanted to do. I was more so, hey, do I want to kind of go in the sports world or I kind of want to be a chef? So I was like, there was a little weird dynamic there as a fork in the road. And then
either one of those are better than sitting in a cubicle.
I agree. For me, at least. I mean, there's a lot of people do it that love it and make great money, but it wasn't for me. So I would say I worked a football camp back in 2015. Worked a summer camp in 2015 down in Woodstock. And then I worked that camp, and then I was like, this is what I want to do for a full time. Now, the feedback from it, because a lot of people say, hey, you can't make a career out of it. I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I've always had that kind of mentality, I'm going to prove you wrong kind of guy. And then now 9 years later, I proved a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You mentioned something interesting there. You always had loved working with kids, and I think a lot of times people who aren't coaching, who aren't coaches, kind of look at coaching as, well, we just like to do the coaching part. Yeah. Right? In football, you love the X's and O's, or if you're training kids, I just love deadlifts and squats. Yeah. Which really kind of only gets you so far. Right. In that world. You have to love working with those kids and making them better, and helping them find their potential. Without that, you get out on a football field and run a couple of routes and run a couple of drills. I mean, that's going to get old really quick unless you really have a mission there to do something for those kids.
Absolutely.
And I've seen Dustyn firsthand. We've brought our football team in here to do some training. Dustyn's really, really good. I mean, he's very soft-spoken right now, but he's got an intensity level to him that
you see in the eyes.
Yeah, he will bring the intensity. The kids respond, but he's got the ability to connect with kids. Like, he doesn't just come in here and just yell at the kids. He really has a unique ability to be intense, to connect with the kids. The kids get the respect, and those kids will run through a brick wall for him.
And that's a skill too, because these kids, and I have an 18-year-old myself, and I coached them all as a kid. They get tired of hearing Dad's voice. So even when Dad becomes coach, we go to football practice. I'm not Dad anymore. I'm coach now. But you know what? He's heard my voice every day since the day he was born. Yeah. He just tunes it out. And the same with their coaches. The kids, they hear their coaches enough that they just kind of fade into the background. So that's why it's so important, I think, and when we bring our teams and to work with trainers like yourself. It's a different voice.
Oh, absolutely.
And that voice, knowing, how to when to raise, when to lower, that kind of thing. Just a different voice is so important.
Trust me, I get it. My dad played 8 years in the NFL, and he trained me. I'm like, okay, whatever, shut up, I got it. And then I'm like, okay, as I got older, I'm like, all right, what Dad was telling me was actually right. Now I'm gonna say the same thing that he told me My high school coaches told me, and then I get to college, they told me the exact same thing. So I'm like, okay, sometimes kids, trust me, listen to your parents. Okay? It's okay, they know what they're talking about.
And trust me, being a coach of my son, I know that there is a time, and that time is now, where it's like, no longer can I be the one coaching him because there's too much family, fights that we have that we bring onto the field, and so it's time for me to let the professionals handle it with him, and I'll find my other passions to coach other kids. But and you'll be there soon, because I don't know if you know this or not, but he's got a baby on the way. He's got a baby boy on the way.
I do.
Oh, congratulations. That's fantastic.
Very ecstatic, very happy. We got a baby boy coming here in June 7th.
Man.
So he's already, the mom don't know yet, but she got creatine in her water bottle right now. So he's gonna come out squatting about 200 pounds at least.
I love that. I love that.
Oh yeah.
So our audience here, we're talking to coaches, we're talking to coaches at the high school level, we're talking to volunteer coaches, and so I want to transition now into really what you focus on, which is training. And first, at the youth level, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see right now, at the for youth when it comes to training?
It's one, teaching the kids how to do everything, essentially. Most kids at the K through 5 level have a tendency, when they first start, can barely chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. So when we start training the youth kids, now mind you, that's my favorite. A lot of coaches like, hey, I want to train the elite high school kids, the elite middle school kids, and college kids. I'm a little bit different. I get my, honestly, pure joy of working with the K through 5 personally, because at that point in time, I really feel like I have the most input in how they develop as they get older.
You have the most teaching leverage.
Exactly.
Right? You're most available to accept that kind of teaching.
So at that age, we more so focus on, hey, proper mechanics. Okay? How do you use your arms? How do you drive your knees? How do you bring your body under control? Different things like that at that age level. And then you have some kids who progress fairly well. You have some kids takes a little bit longer. However, every kid progresses at a different stage. So it's like, hey, I'm able to break it down to where, hey, if I have a kid that comes in here, like I've had a lot of times, a second grader, third grader come in here, and within 3 sessions, they almost can compete with the middle school kid already. And you have some kids take a little bit longer. However, it's just break it down to simple things so they can understand it. But yeah, at that age, we more so just focus on techniques, teaching them how to properly run, because at that age, typically a lot of kids get bad habits. And then it's hard to break those habits as they get to middle school and high school. It's like, hey, now we have to sit here and spend
muscle memory
10 sessions breaking down what you've been doing wrong for so long.
And it's so important, because I think one of the things that's missing, and I listened to several different podcasts on the same exact conversation, but one of the things that's missing in youth sports today, specifically in football, is a lack of good coaching, the right fundamentals.
Absolutely.
And what's happening is, especially, if you look at what's going on, so much of the sports world, youth sports world, is like transitioning out of rec and going straight into these all-star, and so you've got these coaches that are looking for who's this big stud, who's this big kid, who's this, and they're putting together these travel teams that, they can ball and they can go and beat other teams, but they're not learning the game of football. Right? And they're rolling through middle school, straight into high school, and these high school coaches are getting kids that are, natural athletes, but don't have the first clue on how to play football, or what the proper technique for tackling or blocking, or just the fundamentals for the game.
Well, too, and I'd say, most importantly with the stuff that you're doing here, it's one thing for kids to go out there and get sort of, mediocre coaching on running football drills.
Right.
It's another thing to get, substandard coaching in very important body movements, like the big lifts, that sort of thing. You have to do that safely. I'm thinking from a football coach's perspective, every year parents come and at the end of the season say, the season's over, what should we be doing in the off season? What should we be doing with Johnny? Should we be lifting weights, that sort of thing?
Right.
So the things that you're doing is really important to educate people, particularly parents, right?
Going back to Tad said, is you see a lot of kids who are naturally talented, and what you see it a lot when kids go to practice and things like that. They're expected to know how to block, tackle, catch, different things like that. However, that's not all the case. So that's why I feel like where guys like myself and others, a lot of other great training facilities as well, where it's like that's our job to more so teach, especially the K through 5, even middle school, because some kids don't only start playing sports until middle school sometimes. So I feel like that's where we come into play. We say, hey, all right, you want to play football, first things first, let's teach you how to properly tackle, okay? Now the tackling is completely different from when I played. And you see my helmet in my office now, it's all dent up, the face mask is bent.
That helmet's probably illegal.
Yeah, I mean, we were taught to hit head up, head across. And now it's changed a little bit. So now what I was taught, the same thing that, from rugby players, is we kind of do like a rugby style tackling. So now we keep our head out of the game, out of it. So now that helps reduce concussions and head injuries and things like that. So like I said before, it's like, I feel like that's more so our job, because I know a lot of the coaches don't have the time to say, hey, we don't have you for 5 days a week, 3 months in advance for the season start. We have to get installed in, we got to get players going. So that's why when we sit here and do these football camps, clinics, and trainings like that, and say, hey, we're going to teach you these fundamentals. We're going to teach you how to block, how to take the proper steps, how to tackle, okay, even some things of like, hey, causing turnovers, okay? You're not taught how to do that. So that's where I feel like, say, going again, it's like where we come into play to teach those things. So when they go to practice, they know exactly how to do it, and then they come back, and I'm the kind of person that want to go to practices and go to games. For example, I'm going to a game tonight, tomorrow, and on Saturday, and I get to see my athletes play. Now, at the same time, I get to watch them, hey, what are they doing wrong, and what can I do better in training here to help them continue to grow?
And beyond that, they see you. Right? You're present, you're there.
Yeah, and they get ecstatic, some people get nervous.
And I want to plug here for Dustyn, because we brought our team here, we worked with him, and he truly does. I mean, he'll work with our team, and he shows up on Saturday mornings, you know, and comes and watches our game, and you know, it means something, especially the fifth graders, when they see their trainer that you know they're doing this on you know, doing their evening workouts with, come to their game and watch them play. I mean, you remember those kids hugged you and they wanted pictures with you after the game. I mean, you become a rock star, and it really means something to them, you know, and all that to me just goes into, you know, it's such good development for these youth kids, one, to help them fall in love with the sport, to help them fall in love with training, to help them just, again, you know, recognize what it takes to be a leader in the community, right? Because at some point, these kids are going to be paying it forward. They're going to be volunteer coaching and teaching, you know, K through 5. And all these experiences, hopefully they'll transition and you know, deliver that and pay that forward to the next generation. Let's talk specifically, and you hit on a little bit. I want to break it down specifically now by age groups. Let's talk training. So what, you know, you hit on some, but K through 5. So, you know, what are kind of some of the key things that K through 5 athletes should be focusing on when in off-season training?
Fundamentals. We have a lot of youth kids that come in here, and it's more, like I said, going back to teaching the mechanics. We need to teach these kids how to use their bodies, because right now they come in here, and I've seen some kids who are absolutely lights out fast. However, they look like a chicken with their head cut off running. So like I said, the fundamentals, sprint mechanics, okay, how to bring your body under control, the difference between breaking your body down and also coming to balance, how to properly open the hips, different things like that. And then kind of, it's a slow process at that age. However, the more they come, then you kind of slowly see that progress as they continue to grow.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you said that, because I think the more times we can hear it, the better. One of the things that we're doing with our work is we've put together some training programs, particularly one of them's called the Contact Academy, where we're talking specifically about that kind of thing. And the starting point is just moving. Before you even get to what's the technique for a tackle or a block, how do I get to where I'm going with my body under control? You know, we see a lot with these kids, they don't have good movement, what I call movement under posture. You know, they're moving and their chests are getting out over their knees, they're all over the place, and they're not resetting their posture. And so we start out with the Contact Academy stuff, talking exactly about that. How to move and maintain your posture, how to move with speed and maintain your posture, how to regain your posture.
Absolutely.
And then now I can really start to put the pedal down on teaching the techniques on blocking and tackling. I love that.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, and at that age, it's step by step. We may only get 3 things in an hour. However, after that hour is over, those 3 things they did, they know how to do it to perfection. So they come in and say, hey, all right, we're going to go start with simple. We're doing sprint mechanics, we go simply, hey, we're going chin to pocket, okay? And I say chin to, they say pocket, so they understand. So it's actually interactive versus than just me sitting here talking so long at that age. If I'm sitting here talking for an hour, they're like, what? Huh? Versus like, hey, me asking them questions, okay, making cues and commands, and they have to respond to it. I feel like that's kind of the biggest thing to help that age group is like actually getting the kids involved. Okay, ask them questions. Okay, give them commands. Say, hey, what do I do if this happens here? What do I do? Okay, if they say, oh, I don't know, or say, all right, let's break it down again, and then hey, ask them again. Oh, I do it if this right here happens. So different things like that.
Developing that muscle memory, that mental, right? That mental muscle memory.
Pop quizzes. I give them pop quizzes all the time. They come in the next session. Hey, what's this mean? Oh, this right here. I got it, coach. So
quick association.
Exactly.
And you'll see it if you come out here and you bring your athlete out here. I've seen sessions where he spends 30 minutes. If they don't get the first step right, they'll work on the first step for 30 minutes over
Yeah.
and over and over.
What do they say? It's I think Coach Saban talked about this. Is we don't practice things until we get it right. We practice things until we can't get it wrong.
Yep.
Love that.
Yeah. So how does it transition now for a middle school athlete? Where should a middle school athlete, 6th or 8th grade, where should they be focusing on with their off-season training?
Still fundamentals, to be honest. But now, fundamentals. I'll be honest, fundamentals from K through 5 all the way through college. That's never going to change. I would say the only thing that changes is how much time you put into it. So for my middle school kids, we're not probably going to sit here and spend 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes on arm mechanics. We're probably going to come in and get the dynamic warm-up in. We're probably going to spend 5 minutes, making sure we're refreshing and things like that. And now we can kind of get to the actual plan now. And at that age, we really started to implement more resistance-based training. And that does not always mean we're going to sit here and take them to the weight room, okay? And I firmly believe even at middle school, you can start, at that point in time, you can truly start strength training. Now, when I say we start strength training, I don't recommend say, hey, we're going to try to have them hit a 1 rep max or 5. I'm like, no. Okay, let's say, hey, let's put them in an ISO hold for a minute. Can they sit here and hold a split lunge for a minute? Can they sit here and hold a air squat for a minute? Different things like that. And then once they kind of start getting to those mechanics, they can start here and do these isolation holds. Is when we say, all right, now we can start more focusing on repetition. Now, again, when I say repetition, I'm not meaning 5 reps, 2 reps with the weights heavy. I mean 10% of what they actually can do, 10 to 30% what they can actually do, and doing that for 10, 12 reps, okay? Focusing on, hey, when you squat, okay, are your feet shoulder apart, are your knees going in, are your knees going out, okay, driving through your 3 points of contact of your toe, pinky, and your heel. So all those things there, and then as they kind of get older, now it's like, all right, now we can start adding the weight from there.
So it sounds like it's still the fundamentals, still the basics, but maybe more of a technical focus, like really the mechanics of getting the little things right. Because when you start loading those plates on, you got to get those things right, or you're gonna hurt yourself.
You have to.
And so as we get to high school now, 9th to 12th, obviously still fundamentals. How does it transition now from middle school into high school?
I would say when we start to get to high school, it's more so a lot of more so stretching. So you're still doing the fundamentals. Now the kids get testosterone going. The girls kind of get the body something to change on them a little bit as well. Is now we say, hey, okay, yes, we are continued to now take that next step. Or say, hey, now it's time to build true strength now. Okay, trying to build true explosiveness, different things like that. So all high school is from a 9th grader who never even played the sport. It's like, hey, we're going to sit here and teach you, break everything down for you as we did our elite athletes. We break it down both ways. So now I say once you get to high school, it's now we have to really focus on taking care of your bodies. That's why we're fortunate now to have our own physical therapist on staff here coming on board next in 2 months, where it's like, hey, now you're getting stronger, but now you understand how to actually move your body, whether that's from stretching, hip mobility, different things like that. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest things that a lot of high school programs lack. He's fast, he's strong, okay, squat. He can't even get below parallel. He can't even get hip hinge, ankle mobility, tight hamstrings. That's where injuries occur. So it's like when we get to high school, it's like the intensity does change significantly. But the biggest thing that we implement with our high school kids is their body. Okay, actually learning how to move the body in different positions, not just positions for your particular sport. Okay, you want to be able to move in all different type of positions.
The universal movement
exactly
type stuff. I was actually going to ask you about the high school transition. For you as a coach and trainer, there probably isn't a single high school within spitting distance of here that doesn't have an almost year-round lift program going. So how do you, the stuff that you do, how does it dovetail with that? And is there ever any sort of friction or conflict with what they may be doing with their program versus what you may have to do here?
Not necessarily, especially in our private and semi-private training. We communicate with the athletes.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, what are you doing Monday through Friday at the school? Okay, so if you're sitting here, if you're lifting 4 days a week at the school, okay, what are you doing on Monday? What are you doing on Tuesday? What are you doing Thursday and Friday? Okay, if you're doing upper body focus at the school on Monday, we're not going to do the same thing here.
Sure.
We're more so going to focus on lower body movement.
And you're taking that into account.
Exactly. So we're not just sitting here saying, oh, yeah, forget your high school. No. At the end of the day, I am trying to build a relationship with the high school coaches. I'm not trying to sit here and undermine what they're doing at the program. I want to help their kids. Hey, what are you doing at the program? Okay, your kids come to me. Okay, bring me what they're doing, so I can sit and say, all right, we're going to do this, this, and this. Okay, hey, so we're going to do this on this day and flip-flop it here. Okay, I don't have a set plan. When I say a set plan, as in we're not going to come in here Monday bench, Tuesday squat, Wednesday this, Thursday that. No, we're going to go off what you're doing at the high school, so you can come and perform here as well as perform at the high school. A lot of kids coming here at the high school anymore, so they're more so lifting heavy. I mean, they're lifting heavy weights, not a problem. We're going to move for speed here. We'll move for power. So you gain the strength at the school, you gain the power and speed from us. So you may come in here only do 30 to 60% of your load here. So we focus on the speed of the movement versus the strength of the movement.
Maybe filling the gaps
Exactly.
on the things that they're not
So
doing.
a lot of programs don't do the speed work that we can provide. A lot of people don't do that. High schools don't do that. They don't have a set speed regimen. So it's like, all right, listen up. I see that you're continuing to get stronger. I'm not going to kind of interfere with that, okay? If I see you kind of plateauing a little bit, all right, let me see your workout plan at the school, and then I'll say, all right, we're going to make a few adjustments here with me in order to get you over that plateau, with that hump.
You know, I got to think, too, that the relationship, if you can build those relationships with those programs, with the high school programs, and sort of be a trusted source of training. If I'm a coach of a high school program, I'm really invested in my younger kids, my feeder kids, my middle school kids, getting the right off-season training.
Right.
And so that's a really important relationship with you in those programs, because then they can, make sure that they get those kids on the right track. They trust that the work that's being done. So by the time they get to them, ninth grade, sophomore year,
It's plug and play.
they know what they're doing. They've been there.
Absolutely.
That's a good relationship to have.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's why I try my best to go. I go to these games and introduce myself to coaches all the time. So, I work with so and so. Now I don't always get a response from some coaches. I send them an email, which I understand. I get it, because I know a lot of. I know that me growing up, our high school coaches didn't want us working with other people, and they're more so concerned about the kids getting hurt, different things like that.
It's a fine line.
It's a fine line, and they do get hurt. Now, we do know it's a part of it. But I'm very fortunate. I've been here for 2.5 years, going on 3, where I've only had one kid get an injury, and he was out maybe a week, and he was back to full play.
Yeah.
So we try to sit here and say, hey, we're going to push you, train you, get you bigger, get you faster, stronger. We're just going to do it in the right way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of what we're talking about is a lot of time commitment outside of their actual team commitments. So I know one of the things that coaches are probably getting asked a lot from parents is, how much is too much? How do we balance this time that we're doing working out with school? And you got some kids that are multi-sport athletes, So, talk to me about that. How much is too much for a kid, and is there a risk of burnout when we're talking about this much workout at a young age?
Every kid's different. Every kid's different. So I won't break it down to a general, hey, this is too much. Every kid is different, and every kid can handle a lot. Every kid. For example, me growing up, with my dad, as I continue to get older, I was able to handle whatever he threw at me. Whether that was, hey, we're going 6 days this week. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm hungry. Now, I was a one-sport athlete at the time. Didn't believe in playing multiple sports. Now, that mindset and how I teach kids now, that has completely changed. So I say you break it down to what the kid can do, more so handle, kind of watch your athlete's body language, and be completely honest. If you get to a situation where he or she is constantly, we got training today, at that point in time, back off. Okay, don't continue to force it. And I have parents coming to me and say, hey, they really don't want to be here today. Okay, so what I do is they come in here to me, and they've been going strong for 6 months, and I kind of see them get on the edge of burnout. I change what I'm doing. All right, let's have a little fun today. We're going to work today, but it's more so we're going to back off a little body, have a little more so fun with it, okay, and go from there.
I guess too. There's the does the kid not want to be there today, or does the kid not want to be there at all?
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's a
There's
big difference.
A big difference.
And you have the conversation. I'm very open with my kids, especially after about 2 or 3 months. I get to pick up on those tendencies. Some kids come in here ecstatic, ready to go. Some kids come here, oh my God, or whether, hey, is it football, or is it school, or is it family?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be one of those things. It can be a combination of all three of those things. So we just kind of monitor kids here to help them don't get to the point of burnout. Now, outside of here, I would say kids get burnout from never stopping. I mean, especially in the sports of lacrosse, soccer, baseball, it is nonstop. I mean, their season goes from high school season to AAU the next week. Like, there's no time to actually build these kids up and grow or build their bodies back up to go through another season. So I feel like it's a combination of just the year-round sports. Me personally, I feel like every kid should have a time where it's 3 to 4 months over they're off of playing and practicing. Now they're more so spending time on actually growing their bodies, getting their bodies ready for another season, whether that's strength, that's speed, so they can go out and actually produce. If they sit here and find themselves constantly going, yeah, they're getting the skill of the game down or the sport down. However, like, they're not seeing any progression because they're not actually having the opportunity to build and grow. To actually say, hey, he's been hitting, so for a baseball kid, he's been constantly throwing 80 miles an hour. Okay, the reason why he's not getting faster, he's not getting more velocity, is because he's not training that mechanic. So I feel like, like I said before, it's just break it down to the kid. Okay, know your kid, read their body language. Okay, talk to them, ask questions. If a kid sit here and says after the third day, if it's like 3 days in a row, we're gonna say, on that third day, I don't really want to go. Sometimes listen. Okay, I'm not saying that, like, sometimes kids are kids. They kind of control, like, manipulate you a little bit. But honestly, listen to the kid to get an understanding of why he don't want to go practice or to a game or even training. So it happens all the time.
And there's nothing wrong with mental training for a day.
I do it all the time. There's sometimes we come in here. I mean, it happened last week. I had a young lady come in, just started season, a lot going on, practice 2 hours a day, game starting. And she came in here, I mean, like, literally, like, oh my God, I don't want to. She was literally said, I don't want to be here today, but I'm here, let's go.
Been there.
All right, let's go. Instead of us training today, we took the day off from training. We just did recovery. We went through a film. I'm not a lacrosse guru at all. However, I know movements and how to move the body. So we literally just did recovery for like about 40 minutes. We went through her practice film and kind of broke it down. Hey, what can you do better in this situation here? And she was fantastic after. Went out the next game and absolutely kicked butt the next game. So it's honestly not just the physical aspect of it, it's more so the mental as well.
Yeah, and the message that I get from that is, as coaches, be flexible, right? Pay attention to your kids and be flexible to what they need at that particular time. You know, not everybody fits into the same bucket. And so if you just pay attention, you can get the right type of training that the kid needs at that time.
Especially in a one-on-one setting, because every kid's different. I can see and have the opportunity yesterday, 12-hour day. And every kid was different. So I was like, hey, what do you need today? Hey, how do you feel? Yes, I have a plan. I mean, we had a session at 6 a.m. yesterday morning, and he was shot. I mean, he's coming in here 3 days a week with me, 2 days a week with our receiver specialist, and then he's also doing twice a week at the school. So yesterday he came in, he was like warming up. I was like, all right, we're backing off. And we did stretching. We did an hour and a half of stretching, mobility, and an ice bath and Normatec. And then I get a text message this morning. He was like, that's exactly what I needed. And after the session today, he absolutely killed his training this morning at the school.
Awesome.
So it's like, I have the opportunity to do that. At the schools and teams, it's a little bit different because you have a certain amount of time to get X amount of things in. So you really can't sit here and say, all right, we can take those mental days often.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can. If the kid, especially after a game, all right, they kicked butt. They just dominated on Saturday. All right, Monday, we're going to back off on Monday, have a little fun, kind of get the kids refocused and kind of back into it.
Well, I think that's smart for any coach to do is to always have built into any, whether it's your weekly plan, your daily practice plan, always have some sort of relief valve built into there.
Absolutely.
Just in case you have, just in case something's going wrong, you can make that switch.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking at the kids and they're just not there, what else can we do?
Yeah, and that's just simply as honestly, not even say, hey, let's just say we're going to compete today.
Yeah.
Okay, kids love competition.
Yeah.
So I'm saying instead of, hey, going through practice, let's do this, let the kids compete a little bit amongst themselves. Because everybody wants to be better than their friend, their teammate. So let them compete a little bit.
And that's why they're there, really.
Yeah, and you're still going to get a lot of benefit out of it anyway.
Yeah.
So have a little fun with it.
100%.
On this point, one of the things that one of the stats that's out there is 80% of young athletes that play sports quit organized sports by the age of 15.
Wow.
And even less than 3% go on to play in college. So what are some of the contributing factors? I mean, I think it's some of the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
What are some of the contributing factors you think are leading to that? And what, as coaches, can we do to help advise parents to continue to encourage those kids through that journey?
One, I would say, going back to what I said earlier, is the constant training, constant playing, constant practice. It gets old, and then especially high school kids, when you get to high school, they start to see what college kids are doing. And they start to see they have so everybody don't always have friends that are always athletes. Some kids have friends that are non-athletes. And then that friend there is saying, hey, come do this with us today. I can't, I got practice. Come do this today, can't, I have a game. Come do this, I can't, we have training. So I think that's part of it, the non-stop practice playing, as well as, and it's going to ruffle a little feathers here, but parents. Some parents live vicariously through their kid, which takes a toll out. Okay, hey, you need to be this, so now I can sit here and watch you live out my dream. I don't believe in that. I don't believe parents should live vicariously through their kid.
I mean, we see it all the time.
You see it all the time, where I'm seeing a kid. I went to a game, and a parent is just absolutely not chewing them out verbally, but with hand gestures, like what are you doing, for things like that. I'm like, God, give the kid a break. Okay, leave them alone. And that's why they hate it. I'll
tell you, and sorry to interrupt, but
No,
that's one of the things we talk all the time as coaches. One of the most important things we can do is model the behaviors we want to see, and typically that applies to our kids, the players that we're coaching. But there's also something to that, modeling that behavior for the parents. Absolutely. Because we all see that, and so when they see us acting a certain way, they see us talking to the kids in a certain way about what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing, or what's too much or what's not enough, that kind of thing. I think if we model that behavior for the parents, we might see some of those behavior changes. Is that wishful thinking? Probably,
no,
but
communication.
Yeah.
I think communication in any type of relationship, and especially in sports, is talk to your kid. Okay, if I'm a parent, sit down and say, hey, what do you need from me? Okay. Sometimes the kids say, hey, you're too hard on me. Now, some kids are a little dramatic, so you have to actually know and kind of monitor if you're actually too hard on your kid. For me, growing up, when my dad threw at me early on, way too much. I mean, again, because I've never done it. But as I continue to grow as an athlete, I'm like, hey, I need more, and I can take it. And the good thing is what my dad did for me was actually start a training company to help me be around other kids.
Oh, yeah.
So now in my head, I'm like, I'm this, I'm benching that. And then, all right, I'm gonna put you around some more kids, and now you have the opportunity to see what other kids are doing as well. I'm like, oh, I'm not as good as I thought I actually was, and but I also have competition with that. So communicate with the kids and say, hey, what do you need from me? Okay, do you need a week off where you say, hey, to back off? Sometimes some kids need that 1 week away, or they can just go be a kid.
Or a season.
Or a season off. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying so for example, good thing is a lot of different sports, like football. I love football so much because you have a set season. Yeah. August to December, you're in season.
You know when it's going to happen.
Yeah. And then January through August, you're training, practicing. However, that's only probably going to last maybe about 12 hours a week. So that kid still has the opportunity to go be a kid on the weekend and kind of release the stresses of okay, hey, I got to go to practice on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. like let them be a kid a little bit, you know. Whereas other sports, it's like I said before, it's constantly training, constantly playing. It's like, oh my God, the kid gets tired of doing that.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, hey, he or she may need that one season or that fall or spring season when they say, all right, just going to focus on training and being a kid.
Yeah, maybe take summer baseball off.
Yeah, take it off. Like it's okay.
As a football coach, I don't want them taking football time off.
Yeah.
Take lacrosse time off. Take baseball time off. You know.
Right.
It's interesting because talking to Clack, he talks a lot about getting buy-in. In order to get buy-in, you need to get weigh-in. And I really was kind of thinking about that and saying that's an exercise that parents can do with their kids.
Yeah.
How many parents have sat down with their kids and say, hey, what's our ultimate goal with sports? Where do we want this to go at some point, right? Because a lot of parents, and I know because I'm in the world right now with the 12-year-old, you're spinning your wheels trying to play catch up because you don't want them to get behind, left behind in a certain sport. And so it's like, oh, you got to do baseball now. Okay, now you got to do football, right? Well, now you got to do basketball. Okay, now you got to do lacrosse. Now you got all these things because you don't want them to get behind. But have you taken the time to go, well, what is it that you really want to do? Because I know that we're chasing a lot of stuff.
And ultimately, you do it for fun.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, and there's different kinds of fun. There's there's the fun, then there's the competitive fun. Right? You want to make sure that there's still some fun.
Right.
Gotta have the balance.
And there's probably like at 12, the goal may be different than when they're 14 and 16. Maybe now they really are focusing on one sport, right? And it's timed. Okay, well, we got to put aside the multi-sport activities and really lean into this one sport so you can have that time to rest. It's really hard to rest if you're playing 4 sports.
Right.
It's almost impossible.
Oh yeah.
Very. Very.
But I don't want to cheat kids out of the opportunity to learn other sports. But as you start to get older, you're going to really need to. Your body needs that rest, and you're going to have to start leaning in at some point into 1, maybe 2 sports max. Right.
Yeah.
So I want to transition here because I'm looking in this room, right, and you've got all of these. I see about 25 different college banners, right? These are all athletes that have trained here that you said have either, currently active or got offers to one of these schools. I see Georgia, I see Clemson, I see Southern University of South Florida, Bulldogs, Georgia Tech, Meredith, Reinhardt University, Kennesaw State. You can go down the whole list. There's a ton of stuff here.
Wow.
What is it? Tell me, what does it take for an athlete to persevere through all of the journey going from K through 18 in order to make that leap into college athletics?
Always training, practice, playing as your number 2, as if you're always the
As
backup.
if you're number 2. Yeah.
Backup. If you stay hungry, you can make it very far. Everybody's saying, is it hard to make it to the next level? Absolutely. Is it doable and achievable? Absolutely. It's how much time and commitment are you willing to put into your sport in order to make it to the next level. See, I make sacrifices. Okay, hey, if I want to play, as I get to as a kid gets to that sophomore, junior year, what do you want to go play your sport in? Whether that's basketball, football, maybe. I am a big fan of being a multi-sport athlete, as I was not. I wish I was. Up until your sophomore, junior year. You have to make a decision. Hey, are you better at football? Are you better at lacrosse? What may it be? For me, it was like, hey, I don't want my parents to pay for me. That was my mindset. I don't want my parents to pay for me because they have done so much for me. So it's like, hey, all right, I'm putting all my chips into one basket here, and it's just put the time and energy into it. Every kid in here that's on this wall now, some kids came to me when they had offers. But the good thing is I love the fact that most kids up there came to me young, 7th grade, 8th grade. Some of them, boy, you ain't making it. It's the mindset that some parents had, not necessarily me, but a lot of parents like, I don't just think that he or she's going to be good enough. One kid in 7th grade, he now was drafted in the first round in the majors back in 2020 or 2021. So I'm like, you have to believe in that kid, kind of see something in that kid and kind of get that kid out of it, get the most out of that kid as they grow.
And also understand that, if a parent of a 7th grader is coming to you and saying, I don't think they're going to be good enough, a little premature.
Very.
When you're in 7th grade, their bodies haven't even changed. They haven't hit puberty yet. They haven't even learned yet. So it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
Are they going to be good enough in the 7th grade?
Right.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not.
I just feel like you have different parents in them when it comes to that sense. You have some kids, my kid's going to be the next Tim Tebow. My kid's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. You have some kids, I just want him to get to college. I feel like all parents should always believe in their kid, okay, and give them all the tools that they could possibly. And again, I get it; it gets expensive, but whether that's you send a kid to training with somebody like myself or a different facility, is like, hey, help them. Okay, if they want it, okay, I'm going to empty the bag into my kid. I'm going to invest every time and energy into my kid. And guess what? Even if you invest all that into your kid, they still might not make it. However, everything that you did for them is going to do huge gains for them in other aspects of the world.
They'll get something.
They're going to get somewhere.
Sure.
They're going to get somewhere. I mean, for me, like, yes, everything that I was instilled to me, worked in high school, worked in college, but more so as I'm 31 years old, it works more now as a business owner and a husband more than anything.
You know, I think it's so important too that we define what it means to successfully make it to the next level.
Yeah.
Like we have to define what is the next level, because the next level is different for every kid. And I think that's where we come in as coaches to educate our players on what the next level might be for them. Right? Because if you just define the next level as, you know, Division I, Power 5 football, there are very few players who are going to see success reaching the next level. But there's a lot of different levels of football if they want to keep playing, or baseball, or whatever their sport is. It's important for us as coaches that we early on need to define that for them, help them understand what those next levels are, because I don't think always their parents will. Because I think their parents do see the next level as just this amorphous, it's a single thing.
And that's why I love looking at this wall. As I look at this wall, right? Like, I mean, yes, you've got Georgia, you got Clemson, you got Florida, but any one of these colleges that are listed up here, we would be blessed if our son or daughter had an opportunity to play
100%
at one of these colleges. And, you know, I'm a college athlete. I played at University of California, Irvine. Most people aren't familiar with that, but go anteaters, those that are. And, you know, it was Division I tennis, and it was the best experience of my life to travel around, play different colleges. You know, every year we had the opportunity to go and travel to Hawaii. I mean, that felt like an 18 or 19-year-old traveling to Hawaii to play tennis there was just, I mean, it was an experience I'll never forget. Walking to the locker room and getting free tennis shoes, you know, every week was an experience that I'll never forget. Having a stringer to string your rackets, all that kind of stuff. And
so if you had set your level, your site of success as playing tennis at Stanford, then you wouldn't have achieved your success, right? But you had a broader vision to that success means a lot of different things, and so you had a great experience from that and did something that the vast majority of high school athletes never get to do.
And I did, and you know what? I got to play Stanford, and I got to play UCLA, and I got to play Georgia.
Same.
We got our ass kicked by them, but we got to play them.
Trust me, I've been there. I mean, I got 66 points put up against me, and I was at Kent, and I was playing Ohio State. I'm sitting here playing that year. They won the national championship, so I'm like, now everybody's different, man. And even if, like, I have about 5 different girls up here who had D1 offers, however, they want to go to a smaller school. Every kid's different, you know. So it's not always about getting that big D1 offer. I mean, if you get an offer to play anywhere, it's a huge accomplishment. Huge accomplishment. And now at the same time, some people may not get the offer they may want. And then some kids, hey, they commit to a program and it's not what they wanted. But I'm saying, listen, does that mean that door closed for you? Absolutely not. Because you may get there and you say, oh my God, this is absolutely, like you said, you're going to absolutely love it. And you have some kids like, I'm still hungry and I know I got more. Go to that program, enjoy it for 1 or 2 years, continue to grow and develop, and then guess what? An opportunity with now the transfer portal and all these things like that, you have the opportunity to continue to grow your talents and then make that next step to the program that you want to get.
And people are watching. Coaches are watching that. They're looking to see how you react. And we say this all the time. It's that you don't have control over decisions that other people make. You only have control of how you react to those decisions.
Absolutely.
I know we're running short on time, so I want to go and start wrapping it up here because it's been a great conversation. So I really appreciate you taking the time. I want to leave with you to give 2 thoughts. One on advice on young athletes, if you had one advice to give to young athletes, and then for coaches who are working with parents and talking to parents, one advice for parents on how to support their athlete.
For athletes, I would say you put the time into what you want to do. Okay, if you want to be, let's say lacrosse, because that's one of the biggest things that we do here now is lacrosse athletes. you have to put time into it, because you got to remember there's always somebody out there that's going to probably most likely put more work than you are. Okay, put time into your craft. And again, that does not mean going with a lacrosse instructor. That's not always coming to myself or one of my coaches here. Like, go out in the backyard, okay? Practice a new move. Study your game, okay? It's not always about the athletic part of it. It's more so about the mental as well, okay? Go out and learn, okay, what do you do in different situations? So now when you get out there and you go out there and do it, it's like, oh my God, where did Johnny learn this, or whatever it may be? So that's my advice to kids, is put time into your craft, you know? Don't always depend on mom and dad having to get you out of bed and go train, go practice, or having to always have external motivations. Most of the time it's always internal motivation. When a kid get that internal motivation, that's when you know the kid got it. So I believe in that.
It shouldn't mean more to mom and dad than it does to the kid on the field.
If it does mean more to mom and dad, then you know that kid is probably going to eventually walk away.
They're one of the 80%.
80% by 15. Organized sports.
I've seen it a lot, and the kids that had mom and dad always having to just drill. Those are kids that backed off. And then for parents, believe in your kid. Okay, believe in your kid. Okay, tell your kid that he's great, but at the same time, tell him he's not great. Okay? So it's both.
That's a balance.
Every parent's balance.
You have to
You'll
have
see
balance.
Soon. You'll see
trust
soon.
me, I know. You have to have balance. Don't always say little Johnny's right. Don't always say little Johnny's is the next best thing. No, he is not. He very well may be, but also when he has a bad game, go to say, hey, today you didn't have a good game because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, hey, you have to go home and work on this so it don't happen again. So again, just having that love and tough love balance.
Well, it's not being overly praiseful or critical. It's just being honest.
Yeah,
right? Just be honest.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to tell. I mean, I know I do it. When I sit here and a parent come in here for an evaluation session, and like, oh my God, he's super fast. Okay, let's pull our lasers up and find out. Okay, little Timmy is not as fast as you thought. Okay, this is where he now. So what we do is like we track everything through our systems here. Is hey, they come in, we do an evaluation session. This is where your kid stacks up to current Division I athletes. Now we know your kid's 12 years old. He should not be here, okay? But so you have some kids who are higher on the curve, some kids are lower. This is where your kid stacks up to one, Division I athletes, okay, Division II athletes, and so that's the first two things we show. Is also we compare it to what other 12 athletes are doing here, okay? We had John last week ran a 2.9 and a 20-yard dash. Your kid's run a 3.4. Okay, so now this is where same position, so now you kind of can see where your kid's at compared to what other kids at as well.
Maybe Timmy should be playing left guard.
Yeah. Every kid's not a quarterback. Every kid's not a receiver.
Coach Clack talks about this all the time, that if kids see, if you just give them the chance to see the competition they're around, they'll self-sort themselves. They'll realize,
for sure.
Hey, I probably shouldn't be over here in this wide receiver group. Maybe I should go over there with the running backs. Right? He's really big on that. That if you just give them time and give them a chance, they'll self-sort themselves.
For sure. And the other thing is to tell them the positives of other positions. It's not always about being the quarterback, running back, receiver, corner, safety. I mean, you can get. I mean, especially. The biggest thing I guess I get to see is like a lot of kids don't want to play offensive line.
Most important position, literally the most important position on the field.
You have the most important job, and guess what? Go look at Trent Richardson's contract. Okay, you get the same money as a running back and receiver. If you were good, if you were really good at the position, you can get the same money as those guys as well. So
show me one touchdown that's ever been scored on a football field without an offensive line.
Oh yeah,
doesn't happen.
And you're probably going to play longer also.
Yeah, I don't want to get on a soapbox about it, but I do have a soapbox about it.
I'm right with you. I got saying, I know when I first started playing football, when to try it out, I wanted to play quarterback. It didn't go up very well.
And you probably recognize that really quick. You didn't have to have anybody tell you, hey, maybe you should go over here.
I was like, okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. I was like, what do I want to do? I like to hit. So I went to the linebacker, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. I never thought I would play linebacker. My dad was a running back, so I thought I was going to be a quarterback or a running back. I was like trying to follow in his footsteps. Didn't have that quick twitch as he did. So I was like, linebacker, I get to be aggressive.
Get out there and bang, yeah.
Didn't have to be as fast. Okay, had to be very smart though. So, but yeah, going back, you said in conclusion to what he said earlier, is just talk to the kid and understand what he or she truly wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, thank you so much for your time, the insights that you provided. Thank you for what you do just in this community. I know it's your job, I know it's your business, your passion, but you really have made a big impact on a lot of kids in this community. And you know, one of the reasons why I think that you're the best, one of the best in the industry, and I tell everybody, you know, about you. So you know, you have a huge advocate in me. And,
I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you taking the time to come in and meet with us. Tell our listeners how they can find you and find this facility.
Yeah, you can find us on social media. So MooreSports_Performance. You can just send me a message. I will be responding. Go to our website, fill out a contact us form, and then myself or my assistant Alex will get back to you within 24 hours. And if I don't get back to you before that, it's not intentional. This is I'm always training. I try my best not to be on my phone. But Instagram is the biggest. Our website is number 2.
Yeah. And what's your website?
MooreSportsPerformanceGA.com.
And that's MOORE.
Yes,
Okay.
my last name. So put my last name on it.
Yeah, this is one of the few times that this gym is empty, so I appreciate you taking the time, because usually it's packed with a lot of athletes running around and Dustyn's screaming at them but getting the best out of them. So
screaming in a good way.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
trying to make anybody cry.
No. So look, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time today, and that's it, coaches. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you out in the field.
Talk to you next time.